Now, I was talking with a buddy of mine just the other day. He's almost my age, and we learned the dialogue not from the films because we didn't have home video back then when we were kids. So we learned it mostly from this record here, you know, the story of Star Wars, which I still have. I saved a lot of my toys from when I was a kid in the 70s and 80s there. I actually saved all my Star Wars figures. So here are the original 12, right? These are the very ones I had when I was a kid. More action figure cases down here full of, I have all the action figures from the first 3 films. This is one of the rarest of all the Star Wars figures, a 1978 Sears exclusive blue Snaggletooth, who was later replaced by the smaller, correct version red Snaggletooth. And the rarest of all the movie figures from the 70s and 80s is Yak Face from Return of the Jedi. He was only sold overseas. I remember writing a letter to Kenner, the toy company, and asking how I could get him. They denied his existence. I'd actually like to find that letter at some point. Oh, when I was a teenager and they stopped making Star Wars action figures, I decided to make my own. I was actually one of the first customizers, making the action figures that they never did when I was a kid. So here they are, cannibalized from many other action figures, not just Star Wars, but G.I. Joe, a whole bunch of things all put together. Princess Leia, Slave Girl, the figures that they never made. This obviously would have been too risque for us kids back in the 80s. Oola as well, Jabba's girl he feeds to the Rancor, Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru. Oh, and they never made Grand Moff Tarkin. Characters from the Ewok movies. Lots of stuff. If you want, I'll show you the next one here.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are all figures that you made?
Yeah, I made these figures when I ran out of figures to buy when they stopped making them in the mid 80s. A lot of figures from the Marvel comic books and the novels, Ewok movies. Yeah, just a lot. Star Wars Holiday Special, Chewbacca's wife. I made about 80 of these things. And many of them have since been made in the newer line that started up again in '95. But these are made out of old vintage 70s and 80s figures. And some people cringe that I, cannibalized and cut up, pasted together these vintage 80s figures. But I did it in the 80s. So they weren't worth anything back then.